Right, welcome back. If you just tuned in, you're watching the latest in the series of New Age Business Briefings. Transnet Pipelines is in sharp focus today. And if you're wondering why, well, if you drive a car or you get into a taxi or a bus, chances are that fuel has been transported to those vehicles via their network. And we're now speaking to the the Executive Director of the South African Petroleum Industry Association, Mr. Tshifularo. So about, 8 months ago or something, there was a huge strike in the industry and we couldn't get petrol for love nor money. We were driving around looking for fuel. I'm just wondering, in this whole supply chain, where does it go wrong? Is it just that, is it the trucks? Can't be the pipelines? What happens? Was it a combination of factors?
Well, we like to take collective responsibility.
It's interesting.
So you should have consulted first.
So it depends. I mean, the strike you are referring to, it was targeting the manufacturers and the depot owners. I mean, it typically affects SABC members. But because we are talking about a pipeline system which connects to the depots that are owned by oil companies, it will have a snowball effect. Because if our members cannot take their orders from Transnet pipelines, it will indeed affect them in the pipeline system itself. But what we typically do in the industry, if we've got like a supply issues, we tend to get together, like government involved, Transnet and NESA and ourselves, I mean, with all our members, to try to figure out what should be the optimum solution to resolve the problem. So what you don't see in the background when there's supply issues is the individual and collective interaction that are taking place to ensure that South Africa continues to function normally. So we tend to approach this thing as a collective and work out what is the best solution that can come out of that collective.
And it's a great relationship that you have with Transnet Pipelines, but I guess also it's a challenge for you being heavily dependent upon them for your industry. How do you manage that risk?
I think the pipeline system is huge. So if something affects the pipeline, it's very difficult to replace the product that will have been moved by pipeline by any other mode of transport. So you have to accept that there are certain things that you can do and there are others that you cannot do. So what typically is going to happen is that, Transnet will, because they've got an overall view of the system and the users, contribution to the system, because they're a big pipeline. You can't really initiate a movement without talking to various users at one go. So they will propose, a solution that is in the interest of South Africa, then it gets discussed. That's where then it gets interesting, because individual users, they will then have to take a decision again in the interest of South Africa, not in the interest of their own commercial, aspirations.
Okay.
I think he's not concerned because we're a reliable service provider.
I was just thinking as he was talking, like a neurosurgeon, you're not allowed to make any mistakes ever. All right, let's go to our audience here and just get a sense of what thoughts they have. And we'll start at table number 11, where Pumla is sitting. If Pumla can stand up, we'll get a microphone to you. Hello. Pumla, you can ask your question.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. I want to know, how can Transnet be my client to come and store crude oil and gas in a storage facility that I have managed to secure in Richards Bay from the company called Pangela Storage Farm, which has not started, the building has not started yet, but they said probably from 2 years from now. So I've managed to secure 250 space for LPG, 250 for LPG, and 500 metric tons for for oil. So in total I have 1 million metric tons of space that I have to start now looking for clients to come and lease the space to store these commodities like your LPG, NLPG, and crude oil, regardless if it's crude oil, is refined or just oil. Thank you.
Okay, so that's an interesting question, and it involves quite a lot of things. Supply chain development, empowerment, particularly dealing with women. How does Transnet help this? How do we help her, but also suppliers in general? Let me start with you, Mr. Moodley.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand the supply chain firstly. We need to interact with new entrants who are coming into the market and understand their business model. And then we can put a solution to that. I think Mlamuli indicated with a logistics provider, solutions provider, we can do that. You cannot jump from a small volume into a pipeline. From a modal shift point of view, you start off with road, then go to rail, and then eventually when the volumes warrant you, then you will construct a pipeline. So we need to understand what kind of volumes are going through, where those volumes go through. Is it close to our existing network, or do you have to develop a new network? So I guess the answer to that question would be they need to interact with Transnet for us to then provide a solution or a proposed solution, and then we'll see how that business develop over the years based on volumes, and then you then choose the correct mode for that particular one.
All right, so Mr. Buthelezi, it's quite important for you that women like her succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely crucial. And I think for her to succeed as well is for us to be able to understand upfront the projects she is starting. Because sometimes it does happen that a person comes, there is diesel that's going to land on Monday, can you help me? And by then it's too late. So joint project development, because these are complex projects with all sorts of environmental and safety considerations that we need to look into. So if they alert us early enough, be it it's the pipeline or the authority or any of the divisions of Transnet, who are able to better help.
Mr. Gumede, I would imagine that the transformation story is quite difficult in some environments. And just as she was talking, and I've been around a long time, my grey hair proves this, it was so technical, I just thought, I had no idea some of the things that she was referring to. So it's a challenge. She's young, but this transformation story, I guess, there's some industries that really needs to enable.
Look, I think some of these things we tend to overrate them. Transformation needs to happen in this country. That's a given. Now, what is important is that players like Transnet must not be gatekeepers to prevent new entrants from coming in. I think that's very important, because you then find that because they almost play a regulatory role, and of course they've got this big relationship with these members, SAPIA members who've been there all along, and of course they don't want new competitors themselves. Yeah. So as the new entrants, you find that there are barriers that are created using technical terms, using security, and using all those things. I think Transnet needs to be very proactive. I know they have been. I'm just waking them up to be even more proactive in making sure that they open the room for new entrants.
Okay, we'll give you a right to reply just now. But let's go to table number 6, where we'll find Mdu Nkonza. Table number 6. All right, Mdu, if you could stand up, we'll get a microphone to you. Okay, you can start speaking.
Thank you. My question is around any plans that Transnet has in terms of setting up an ICT logistics hub in support of local innovations. I'm talking about information and communications technologies and electronics in support of local innovations in the logistics sector within Transnet. Any plans around that?
That's an interesting one. Are there any plans?
We have a Transnet Innovation Center, which is based at the CSIR in Pretoria. And we've got teams there that are working flat out, looking at all different types of solutions around logistics for the different modes that we work in. And so I think you will begin to hear in good time about a number of initiatives that we're rolling out, coming out of that space. But we're also open to your suggestions, coming from industry participants and from our clients, what they think would serve them better. Because part of our strategic mission is to ensure that we offer you a hassle-free and a simple way of doing business with Transnet.
Okay.
And I think maybe to add to that, we have a vast network of fiber as well, and we're looking at how we can optimize that network as well in terms of the ICT environment.
All right, Mr. Tshifularo, I was just wondering. Every night we have the indicators and we see the petrol price, and at one stage it was $100+. It's down to $52, I think, in the last week. How does this price fluctuation affect the supply story over time? Is this something that we should be concerned about? And does that affect your business at all? Or are you just worried about the liters and he worries about how much he's making at his pumps? Let's start with you.
I think the fluctuations is the problem. What you really need is stability in the oil price for the purpose of planning for future investments. So what we have seen for the past, I would say 3 years or so, the oil price fell from the average price of like $80 per barrel to the current price of roughly $50 per barrel. So what does that? It forces the oil companies to rethink, in terms of like containing costs, and there's a lot of, curtailment of capital infrastructure investment, and you will start to see companies trying to reduce their cost either by restructuring. So it's not really good for the economy, even for the future projects such as the upstream, which is promoted via Operation Pakisa. It gets affected when oil companies are not making good money, especially at $50 per barrel. Nobody's going to go and explore and drill those expensive holes. So yes, as a motorist, you are very happy when you see that the oil price is projected to come down, even though it was supposed to go up because the Minister of Finance announced the price, the tax increase. But in the main, if you look at the economy, it's not necessarily good to have a $50 per barrel price. It's not good for the economy.
The other side of the coin is your prices are not fluctuating in terms of transporting this fuel. So even if petrol's at $100 or at $50, it goes down to half. Yours is steadily going up in terms of supply cost to move this fuel.
Yeah, our tariffs are set by NERSA, and it's based on the asset that we have, the costs that we incur in executing what we have to do, and obviously a return on that asset that you have to have. But I think importantly relating to that particular question is that it is starting to affect us in terms of the economy, because as prices go up in terms of fuel, less is consumed. And if less is consumed, then we pump less fuel. And if we pump less fuel, then the tariffs go up. The more fuel we pump, the lower the tariffs get. So it is a cyclical issue that is starting to affect us and the consumer at the end of the day.
All right, okay. We'll take more questions when we come back after this break. Don't forget, we're busy talking about my number of the day, 3,800 kilometers of pipelines. All of that after this.